Okay. So today's online session is about classes at Lowell. If we were back in school, we would be talking about what courses you would take. That's called course selection. Last semester, it didn't matter as much because you just picked the same classes as you're taking now. But at this time, you're preparing for sophomore year. That's 10th grade next year in the fall. What classes will you be taking? So if you look in front of you, you'll see on my screen this is what I took as a sophomore, right? And with the corresponding grades. So I took 10th grade English, I took AP European History, I took geometry. Back then there was geo honors. I took PE, I took chemistry honors, I took Chinese, and then I took choir. So that's my fall sophomore year schedule. And that's what I'm pretty much going to talk about what you should take as, what you're required to take as a sophomore, and what options you have. So, as a sophomore, okay, and I'm gonna come back to this every so often to refer to it, um, and make sure you find the chat window, right? You can either use your mic to ask me a question or type into here any questions you have on any topic I have moving forward. Okay, I have the chat in front of me. I'm gonna check it. So ask me questions because the stuff I'm gonna talk about is rather dry if you don't ask and participate. All right. Where's my new page? I think this is my new page. Yeah, this is my new page. Okay, so as a sophomore, okay, uh, for sure the things you have to take is English, right? There is no deviation there for English. You just take 10th grade English, and that's required. You have to take 4 years of English while you're a high schooler, and for SFUSD graduation requirements, 4 years English. For UCs, they also want 4 years English, so that's what you're taking. That's already set. And for math, okay, there's going to be some options there for math. You have the option of taking geometry. You have the option of taking algebra 2 and geometry. And there's the third option where you just take algebra 2, okay? Only if you've taken geometry already. So that's like some of you in this chat right now, you are currently taking um, geometry. You're likely going into this option for next year. For others that are just taking my class, you can consider these two options, okay? You can take geometry, or you can choose to take two math classes depending on your other course load, whether or not you want to have two math classes, whether or not you can handle it. That's open to you. For the most part, if you were just doing one course at a time, you would be taking geometry as your math course, okay? Anyone here interested in summer geometry? Maybe? No? Okay. So I'm not going to talk about that. If you were considering on doubling up as a sophomore, this is your option. You should feel pretty good about Algebra 1 right now. Otherwise, this is a lot to handle. Okay? And then Algebra 2, for those that are taking that next year, it's going to be kind of easy at first, depending on your teacher. But for the most part, the first semester is easier than the second semester. Okay? Generally, first semester is easier than the second. And why do I say that? It's because, well, in Algebra 2, the first semester reviews a lot of Algebra 1, okay? And then the next semester in the fall, the second semester Algebra 2, that's like all new stuff. Summer pre-calculus, okay. For pre-calculus, right, I might as well talk about the progression. So you'll take Algebra 1, right, Algebra 1, and then there's Geo, then you take Algebra 2, there's pre-calculus, right, and then there's calculus. So for doubling up, that happens over here where geometry goes. The question is pre-calculus, what happens with that? Typically, Pre-calculus is taken your junior year after you've taken Algebra 2. Summer pre-calculus, unfortunately, isn't a class that's offered by the district, but there is a way for you to take some kind of pre-calculus during the summer, and that's through City College. Okay, City College offers summer pre-calculus. And here's the weird thing about summer pre-calculus. A whole year's course is made of 2 semesters, okay? And it's typical, right, that if you take City College pre-calculus, it's only going to be one of those 2 semesters, probably the first one. So you're going to be caught in this weird situation where if you can't take both semesters during the summer, then you're kind of halfway there, and you still haven't met the pre-calculus requirement. And it's likely you'll have to take a whole year of pre-calculus, whether that's regular pre-calculus or pre-calculus honors at Lowell. So it's available, and that's all I know about it. Because like your goal is like maybe you want to take calculus junior year, right? That's going to be harder. You have to be really good at math, and then you have to talk to the department chair, Mr. Hoffman, to like kind of get there as a junior. Okay. Do you recommend doubling up with Geo and Algebra 2? Well, that depends. Okay, it depends what you want to later study in college. If you want to take Algebra 2 and Geometry as a sophomore, both those classes, you should want to get to calculus, I think I missed a C somewhere, calculus or an L, right? You have to get to calculus senior year, but that's not for everyone. Like, if you want to later study to be a lawyer or a doctor or some other kinds of careers, you may just need pre-calculus and then pause it from there. If you want to see what calculus is like, then this is your opportunity. You have to take 2 math classes as a sophomore in order to get there. Otherwise, right, you would only get up to pre-calculus as a senior. Like freshman, sophomore year, junior year, you take Algebra 2, and then senior year, you take pre-calculus. And it varies from student to student. Like if you're doing really well in my Algebra 1 class, then I kind of recommend like, oh, maybe you should consider taking 2 math classes. There isn't an option to take Algebra 2 over the summer. There's only geometry where that goes. That's what doubling up means. Okay. Any questions on math for next year? No. Since the school closure has been extended to May, you may want to take a look at Algebra 2 stuff. So in Piazza, I posted my Algebra 2 tests. Definitely look over that. There are some new ideas in my Algebra 2 test that I didn't cover in Algebra 1. So go look up those topics, like determinants, like 3x3 systems, like matrices, all that. I'm not going to cover in Algebra 1 because those are the new ideas in Algebra 2. But use it as a guide for the first semester, like logarithms, linear programming. That's how you can get ahead for Algebra 2. Okay, so that's math and English. Let's go to history next, okay? History, oops. So for history, or social studies, right? Social studies. It's good to know that no requirement for 10th grade. You don't have to take a history class. So you can choose something else there, and I'll go over some of those other options. So optional history related classes, okay, are AP World History, AP European History, and AP Human Geography. Okay, you have those 3 options. These 2 are year-long courses, and they have an AP test. And this one is only 1 semester. And it's also an AP class. You take an AP test. Your teachers will prepare you for that. So maybe you're interested, and if you like history, you want to take one of these history courses as your first AP. Okay, but all that's optional. You don't have to do any of this. If you look up, like, one of my biggest regrets in high school was I took AP European History, right? I got a C both semesters. I only took it because my friends took it. It like now I'm like, oh, why did I even bother with that? It was an unnecessary amount of stress. I didn't really care about the topic, right? Um, so that's what I would recommend for you. If you like history, by all means take it. There's a lot of writing, there's a lot of reading, there's a lot of multiple choice if you choose to take an AP history. APUSH, right? Right, APUSH, that's AP US history, AP. So that one is strictly for junior year, right? Junior year, you have to take some kind of US, United States history. That could be AP like what I did, or it could be regular. That's a junior year requirement. You can't take that as a sophomore. And if you want a sense of that topic, that's like 8th grade social studies, US history. That answer your question? Yeah, I felt like U.S. history was okay. European history was kind of foreign, but since it's a college level course, that's what AP is for, advanced placement. There's just a lot of stuff you have to know or memorize and work through. So that's what makes it challenging. And essays to write. Human geography. Good question. So AP Human Geography is a newer AP class. It is how like humans, like groups of people around the world, different continents and their breakups, different studying different groups of people. That's Human Geography, and it's only 1 semester long. Uh, Trini, I think, teaches that, and maybe another teacher. It's I'm not sure what the difference is between that and ethnic studies. Ethnic studies is an elective. AP Human Geography has set stuff they need to cover. So if you Google AP Human Geography course description, they'll tell you the stuff you need to study. And it's like more memorizing, more facts. Ethnic studies, I think, is like more useful if you are interested in this kind of history. It's the topics are much more varied. The teacher has more flexibility to choose what they want to cover, and it might matter more for you versus human geography. It's set, right? Yeah. So for me, right, I was a person that didn't have much prior knowledge. So a student said, it's Euro, right? It's often just abbreviated Euro, AP Euro. It's pretty interesting sometimes, right? Like stories about the world. But if you don't know a lot beforehand, then it's really overwhelming. It's like a lot of stuff that's new to you. And that was the case for me. I didn't care about King Henry VIII. I had to look at this picture every single morning. Okay, sorry, Frankie. Maybe you do care about King Henry VIII because he did a lot of things that I forgot what, right? I think that's history. And we might as well write ethnic studies too, because that's an option. Ethnic studies. It's not an AP class. Ms. Comlos teaches that. I find it interesting. The class is smaller. You talk about how ethnicity and race affect the world. Um, but you have to ask her for more topics on what she does with that course. Okay, that's history. Overall, you need to know there's no required class you have to take, unlike like freshman year, you're required to take modern world. Junior year, you're required to take U.S. history, and there's also a senior year requirement where you have to take economics, econ, or American democracy. But we'll worry about that when you're like sophomores or juniors. That's too long from now. Okay, I'm going to add a new page. So that's a little bit about history. Science is the next topic. So we're going over the academic subjects first, right? Here's science. Science is interesting. You have a little bit of choices. Like right now, as freshmen, you're taking biology. Um, there's AP biology, okay? AP bio. But that doesn't seem to be recommended by your bio teachers at all. You probably take that as a junior and or senior. Not so much as a sophomore, but it has been done, okay? AP Bio, not recommended as 10th grader. And I think your bio teachers, for the most part, will agree. It's a lot to handle. So instead, as sophomores, you would probably take physics, okay, or chemistry. Those two classes. And each of these classes have different flavors. There's regular physics, and then versus AP Physics 1. Okay, and for chemistry, there's regular chemistry or chemistry honors. And which one of these classes that you take, it really depends, right? There's always the normal version of physics, like how forces work, gravity, how things move, how electricity works, all that. Versus chemistry, you're studying how different atoms and molecules interact with one another. Um, in the regular course, it covers things like a regular course does, like in Algebra 1. And if you want more challenge, that's why they have these honors and AP level classes. So if you're really good at math, if you like that, AP Physics 1 may be the course for you. Physics tends to be more math heavy with like equations of lines, parabolas, projectile motion, acceleration. It's a lot of math and a lot of formulas. You may want to take like maybe this is your first AP course, AP Physics 1. It deals with forces. Um, what's it called? There's a general like motion. Motion and forces is their whole topic. So if I go up to this one, like I took, I want to show you. I took physics honors, right? Physics 1 honors. They don't offer that anymore. Instead, it's called physics AP Physics 1. Okay, so I like took that course my senior year, and it wasn't so bad. I didn't stress too much about it. But as a sophomore, if math is not your thing, you may not want to take AP Physics 1. Or let's say you have different kind of interests. Maybe you are interested in chemistry, working with different chemicals and whatnot, doing those kinds of labs. Although, like that was why I took chemistry honors as a sophomore. That was my thing coming in. I want to do cool experiments. That didn't happen. It's really like tiny things, not as interesting as you would imagine. And yeah, I took chemistry honors. It tends to be a little bit more math heavy compared to regular chemistry, but you'll be fine, right? Knowing algebra is definitely going to be enough. And then it varies also for all these subjects, the teacher that teaches it. And I'm not going to comment on teachers, but these are your options for science classes. I will say that when I took chemistry honors, it wasn't with the current teacher, it was with a different teacher. That if, from taking chemistry honors, I was really prepared for college level chemistry. I didn't take AP Chem, AP Chemistry, Advanced Placement Chemistry when I was a high schooler, but like 1 year of chemistry honor was enough. And then in college, I also took like physics, right? College level physics because of my atmospheric science background. And so whatever physics I had to relearn it anyways when I got to the college level. Any questions around science? No? The science department has a bunch of other topics that you may want to think about junior or senior year. They have AP Bio, they have AP Chem, AP Physics, right? There's like AP Physics 2. There's also like AP Physics BC or whatever it's called, the calculus-based physics. There is, let's see, AP Environmental Science. Okay, often abbreviated APES. There's normal environmental science. There's physiology, studying the body. There's a new fruit fly class that Ms. Amirapu teaches. There's biotech. I think physiology and biotechnology is reserved just for seniors. There's a lot of different electives. Marine science, geology may be offered in the science department, organic chemistry. So you have to see. But all that's usually saved for junior and senior year. And you can imagine that if you were taking like these two AP classes, you would probably take like physics or chemistry before that. You wouldn't dive into taking AP Chem without knowing any Chem, or AP Physics without taking any physics. All right, any questions? Science? No? Okay, so science, history, math, English, those are your four core subjects. And then we move on to, which other one do you have to take? PE, right? Physical education, PE. Because you are in California, you have to take 2 years of PE. That's, I think, called Fit for Life now. That's sophomore PE. But there are other options for you as a sophomore, right? So there's that. Yes, you can do swimming, okay? There's a bunch of other electives, right? Special PE classes that you can sign up for. So PE, as like swimming counts as PE. You have to go to the pool on 19th Avenue, the Sava pool to do swimming. That counts. There's also racket sports. So that's badminton in the gym. There's basketball. There's soccer. There's yoga. There's weight training. And I think that's it. Might be missing something. But these classes, right, they're all electives. And as a sophomore, you can like sign up for it. But these electives, these PE electives, they're really popular because juniors and seniors like choose to take these classes too, and they might pick them for you. So often these classes close early, so you may have to wait till later if you want to take this specific PE class. Basketball, soccer, these two classes, they were mostly reserved for the people that are on the basketball team or on the soccer team. But they should have a couple open spots. You may not be the lucky one to get into those two ones, though. Swimming, racket sports, badminton, yoga, and weight training, that's mostly open, but it fills up pretty quickly because there's only like one class of weight training. There's a couple classes of yoga, there's like a few classes of swimming, and all of these count for PE. Fit for Life, I think, is just sophomore PE, right? This is the name for sophomore PE. I think. So when you see it in the course description, like after you do course selection, it just it's 10th grade PE. I don't know. They changed the names. So if you look up for me, right, I think they just, okay. Where is it? PE, yeah. It's just called Physical Education 4 and Physical Education 3. I remembered from like what's it called, fitness testing as a freshman, right? You have like two opportunities to pass fitness testing, as a freshman or as a sophomore. And if you don't pass the fitness testing, they may have changed the rules. This is how it was when I went to Lowell. You have to take another year of PE instead of the required 2 years for your freshman and sophomore year. You have to take a third year of PE. I don't know if that's still the case. They may have changed the requirements. Yeah, so you'll have to ask your PE teacher, but that's how it was in the past. But it's kind of fun signing for these things. They used to have a high school graduation requirement of knowing how to swim. I think they dropped that now, but like that's why people would sign up for the swimming course, so they don't have to pay for outside swimming lessons, and then they meet that graduation requirement. Like when I was in high school, they had some times where yeah, you have to know how to swim. You also had to. They required driver's education when I was in school, so they dropped that requirement too. A little bit of history of SFUSD. All right, PE, science, history, math, English. All right, now we go on to the really big category, art, language, or generally called electives. All right, there's a bunch of different things you could take for this. Right, you can take 2 of these, you can take 1 of these. If you have room in your schedule, let's say you do take like these for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes, you will probably have room for 1 more class, and that's one of these. For art, for graduation, you need 2 years, I think, 2 years needed. Same thing for language, you need 2 years of language. I forgot the requirement for how many electives you do. Since so many things counts as elective, I'm unsure. It's like 20 or so units, but like each class is like 5 units, but I don't know off the top of my head how many years you need. But as long as you're taking 6 classes each semester at Lowell, then you're fine. Like usually this is no problem for Lowell students. So for art, it might be, I'm unsure. Yeah, from Plan Ahead, they mentioned it. I'm unsure, it could be 1. Good point, Amanda, right? This could be 1 or 1 year, I'm unsure. You'll have to consult a more credible source. So good point, because that makes a big difference, because then you don't have to take like any of these classes, right? Art, there's regular art class, there are the AP art classes, like AP Studio Art and AP, I forgot the other one, but there are 2 AP art classes. There's ceramics, there's photography, there's architecture, I can't spell. Okay, it looks about right. Architecture, what else is there? There's all the music classes. There's choir, band, orchestra. I think I'm forgetting something. I think Lowell has a lot of these. But those for sure give you art credit. And whether you take 1 year or 2 year, you may want to get that requirement now because you don't have to take history. You may want to sub in and take one of these. Language, you already know about that, right? Lowell offers a bunch of different languages: Spanish, Italian, French. A lot of you are already taking a language: Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Latin. We have a Hebrew class. Am I forgetting anything? I think that's most of them. Okay, and you need to take 2 years of that. If you're already in like Spanish 3 honors or whatever it's called, you can take AP language as a sophomore now. Spanish, Japanese, Chinese, and I think Latin. I think there is an AP Latin. Those have AP classes. Everything else I don't think does, but it is offered here at Lowell. And then electives, right? If you take any extra class, like an extra math class, it would fall under like elective. So this is the slot that kind of it depends, right? You could take computer programming. So right now that's my class. I don't know if I'm taking that next year. There's AP Computer Science, APCS Principles. There's APCSA, and that's the Java course. So there's those 3, and then I feel like there's more, but I kind of forgot. Oh, there's student government. There's peer resources. There's a bunch of other classes. If it doesn't fit in the category that's like from above, right, then it's an elective, and you can take those. I'm just going to talk about these 3, okay? These 2 are beginner friendly. So if you never learned how to code, right? If you kind of like what I did with Pirate in the beginning of the year, you may want to start taking one of these two classes to learn how to code. And if you're a little bit experienced or already know how to code, oh yeah, psychology, right? Psychology, it's AP. I don't know if you can take it as a sophomore though. Yeah, AP Psych is popular. That counts as social studies. So psychology is there's lots of sections. There's many classes. I think juniors and seniors typically take AP Psych. Yeah, and it's only an AP course. There isn't normal psychology class, but it's under the history department. The next year, I'll probably be teaching this class. So it's probably a lot of you won't be in that class, but maybe somewhere down the line. And I think I went over all the requirements as a sophomore. Okay, those are your options. Any questions from those people that are here that are related to anything I covered? No. All right. So Mr. Dominguez, the counseling assistant principal, says things are on schedule. You'll likely see in your email the first part, right? There's going to be course selection. So after you get that, you have to get confirmation. They have to say like, oh, we do have room of courses. And then you pick class, times, and teachers. So that's the ARENA process. Okay. So right now we're kind of here, right? We haven't done this just yet. That's when you say like, oh, I want to take Geo, I want to take English, 10th grade English, I want to take AP World, I want to take Chinese, PE, what else? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, English, science, I'll take chemistry, and I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Those are the classes I'm taking next year, right? And then they say, oh, okay, over here, like you got the classes. Right? They have to say we got enough spots because maybe we don't have enough teachers, or maybe you applied to taking like Algebra 2 as your 7th class. Okay, they're going to make it harder for you to take 7 classes this upcoming year. You have to be, there's like a screening process. There's some higher requirements for you to take 7 classes. So that's why I put it down here as optional, right? And you got all your classes, but no Algebra 2. So then they booted you down to 6 classes. That's going to happen in this next phase, right? It matters more for your junior year or your senior year. Like let's say you wanted to take AP psychology and they ran out of spots. So then you got to choose a different AP course or a different social studies course. You have like more options now, but this is where the counseling tell you whether or not there's room because you may have to go back and pick again. Okay. And then after you know what specific classes you're taking, right? Let's say for us it's these things, and then you get to pick the teachers and the time that you want it. This is one of the nice things about Lowell. You get to pick the teachers and the classes. All the other high schools, you just go here, right? You do this part, and then you do this part, and then they give you a random schedule. They don't really care about like who you have as a teacher or when you take it. But at Lowell, you do get to pick times and teachers. And this is exactly what they do in college. You pick your time and your teachers who you want. So you get 3 years to practice that. And later when you get to college, you'll be super prepared because you've already done it before. And so this topic about picking teachers and classes, when we get there in the couple weeks, I'll tell you about this later. Right? building your schedule is kind of its own challenge, right? Are you going to have a block one? Are you going to play a sport? When do you want your lunch? Who's in your classes? Maybe that matters outside the subjects. Then other times it doesn't matter as much. There's only one class of um, like AP calculus later, and so you only have to take that class, right? The art classes or like in choir, there's only one advanced choir class, so that's the class you have to take. So it locks you out of other places. There's only one section of like AP Japanese, so then that's the only class you have to sign up for, and you have to build your schedule around that. But that's another day. I'll talk about it. Worry less about this phase right now, but it should happen um, this semester to prepare for your sophomore year. Okay, questions, comments? Classes at Lowell, questions for me. I think I'm pretty much done with what I wanted to cover about things you should know about what you need to sign up for. Nope. Yes. So ask now, or send me an email if you get a question later. Okay, so Amanda, Ben, Frankie, Leanne, Raymond, no questions? Okay. If anything comes up, like especially for you, Raymond, since I'm your reg teacher, then like you can ask me anytime. Got like 3 more years of this advising. Okay. So that's it, class. Thanks for joining me. I hope this was helpful. Tell your friends anything you learned. If they want have more questions, then just let me know. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll have another session. I don't know what we're going to talk about just yet, but something interesting. 1 and 4 o'clock. Okay. See you guys later. Gundam. We can talk about that.